but I'm going to go ahead and kick it off. Welcome in Houston. I'm John Hurd. Tuesday, August 11th. Great as always to have you guys along. Learn from the experts Cross Industry Network, giving you 30-minute dose of real-time hard-to-get business intelligence, connecting you to new professionals and networks. So what's in it for you? Well, our Learn from the Expert promise is if all goes well, your curiosity is sparked. The idea is to come to light, and you may have helped the other person along the way to reach their opportunity faster. As you know, networking has never been more important for your business. So with that, let me ask you all to mute yourselves, please, and help me welcome our guest expert, Dr. Jose Gutierrez. So, known Jose for many years. He's a technologist by training, but his passion is inventor, creator, community developer. Jose says it's less about the technology and it's all about the meaningful value technology can deliver to people. So Jose, I'm so grateful that you could make time to join us this morning. Can you tell us a little bit about your story, maybe what you're working on that's got you curious, got your imagination working, and maybe something that you're struggling with too, huh?
Perfect. Well, good morning and good evening or afternoon, everybody. Thank you for John for the invitation. A great pleasure to see a few yourself and few friends and seeing in their names. So really great. I'm broadcasting from Reno, Nevada. If you see me by any chance running and leaving this blank, it's because there are two bears loose on the neighborhood. So what you're seeing is a real image. Just behind is Lake Tahoe, probably 20 minutes ago, away from here. So again, I'm serious. Last night there was a big warning that be careful with bears. Temperature here is 63 degrees right now, but it will be 90 in probably 5-6 hours. So great to be here. I know I've been in Houston for a while, so I'm just showing off. So on the discussion, guys, well, most of you, or at least the audience that I know, we've been in the same boat. We've been in digital transformation for a while. The word digital transformation is a blessing because before we were engineers, analysts, technologists, and now we have a sexy word that we can apply to ourselves. Data scientists, driving digital innovation or digital. Again, we all been doing this for a long while. The big difference right now, of course, computing power is almost free. Memory is definitely free. And so you can play with, many more things. You can go and play with deep neural networks, and overnight you get a beautiful answer, okay? Also, I'm pretty sure most of you, like myself, we work in great companies that are generating value, companies that the mere existence in the middle of this pandemic tell us that we're strong and we are delivering value. And the title of my presentation, I'm calling it Moving from Where We Are Today, Value. We are generating value. We're generating revenue. Okay, we're receiving our salary, so everything is good. To disruptive value. And disruptive value is the new value that our CEOs want, the new value that our shareholders want, which is allegedly much higher. If you read Wall Street Journal, the mean expectation of value from the digital economy is at least increasing your revenue 30%. So it's not 5%, it's not 1%, it's disruptive, okay? But there's an issue. Sometimes that to deliver that value, you need to cannibalize the existing value. Hence my story. So I'm gonna just share a little in the next 10 minutes, a little bit of that. And let me put this in presentation mode. Okay, can everybody see this full screen? Plus minus, John, yes. Can you see this full screen?
There you go.
Okay. So first I want to start with a quote from Darwin, because there's for me, in my experience, there's a clear thing happening right now in the industry. Either you embrace digital transformation or you will be transformed by digital transformation. So one way or the other, we are in this wave. So it's much better to be in the leadership. I know in the case of this audience of experts, we are part of the guys, the captains of the ship, moving this transformation from happening. But again, for many others that are on the fence waiting to see what happens, yes, we can take advantage of the digital economy. We can use Airbnb, the largest real estate company that have no real estate, or Uber, or any of these, all of these digital models coming up, where we can actually get too much. I don't know, you guys, during this pandemic, I have so many subscriptions on streaming that now my problem is figuring out what I want to see in what a streaming channel is. But again, that's a major digital transformation on the way TV and movies are moved. So again, my quote is, this is a great quote that you can choose to show to your CEO or anybody. And again, it's much better to be in the leadership position and make the change rather than being changed. A little bit about me, very briefly. I just started as an entrepreneur. I started with biomedical engineering, which I love, but soon I follow a gradient descent algorithm to money, and I ended up in oil and gas, doing a SCADA system for oil and gas. Moved through multiple great companies, industrial companies. Had the luxury in my career to participate with the creators of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, Zigbee, wireless HART. So great experience there. Little by little move into the more business world, the business technology world with Emerson Electric. And then today I'm in Bentley, Nevada. We are, formerly we were part of GE. Now we're part of Baker Hughes. For those of you that doesn't know Bentley, Nevada, we are the largest company in critical infrastructure protection. So we create software, hardware, equipment to measure all kind of conditions in critical machinery. When I'm talking critical machinery, we're monitoring the utility system in New York, in every major metropolis in the world. We are I mean, a huge part of us applies to oil and gas because it's a critical infrastructure, but yet we are in any renewable energy, coal, hydro, oil and gas, etc. industry. And so, and I'm telling you a little bit that this is not a commercial, because the part of my story really goes into what I do today. And what I do today, we have a huge market penetration, well recognized in the industry. Yet, in order to transform ourselves into the new world, that is an impediment. Okay, as I mentioned before, we are for 60 years we created the industry, we own the industry, if you will. Of course, there are competitors, good competitors that are there. Yet, the moving from where we are today and creating that drive for growth and disruptive, it has challenges. So that's part of my story. This is I took this material from a paper. It's on the bottom. It's MIT, yeah. So there are multiple types of digital transformation. Of course, if you are an HR person and you deploy Workday, now you just did HR digital transformation. Okay. If you put a camera on a helmet, that is digital transformation. That's workforce enablement. If you do a great smart ad like Google does, that is a digital transformation. So there are multiple types of digital transformation. The one that I talk and the one where my passion resides is new digital models, new business digital models. That's the one that is actually most disruptive, because that means doing the same thing or doing a totally different thing. Of course, leveraging what you know, what you have, but that's the one that have the highest potential to actually disrupt the existing business. Some people call it cannibalize the existing business. And that's definitely, that's a choker, right? I've been doing this for all of my life. We're making good money. How are you gonna do that is gonna disrupt our existing revenue, okay? So, and that's a challenge, okay? It's a good rationale. If what you're doing is working, why change it, okay? Again, reality is the business models are changing very, very fast. We're seeing a lot of companies booming, a lot of companies crashing because the business model has changed dramatically. And again, if you are in the driving boat, you are probably happier rather than the ones being transformed. Another quick slide that I want to show you.
Jose, can you sorry, I'm sure you're going to get there, but get more specific and give us an example of how that's applied in your work.
Yeah, I'm about to get there. Yeah, so but I can shortcut into that. I mean, for example, in the world of industrial companies, particularly my company, you do physics. You have done for many years physics-based models. Okay, you know everything you need to know about your product or the machines that you're trying to protect in the case of Metro Nevada, or the processes, waveforms, Fourier transforms. I mean, you know everything, okay? And of course, you wrap all of that knowledge into a good tool, a good piece of software, a good platform, a good hardware system, acquisition system, and then there you go, you deliver your value. Now, if you wanna, I mean, we all know that the future of condition-based monitoring is actually predictive monitoring. So I want to know the future now. And in order to know the future, you need to do models. And there, I mean, if physics were perfect or the machines were perfect, you follow mechanical laws and things work fine. But we know we have a lot of other parameters that are affecting your process, particularly in vibrations, heat, energy consumption, etc. An easier way that did not exist or existed, but it was too bothersome to do using machine learning or using AI, you can find things, you can find features, and you can find indicators of that will affect the reliability of your machine. However, these models are definitely nonlinear. These models are outside the realm of regular physics-based or way too intractable. So moving the mindset of an engineer that has been physics-based for 60 years, moving it into an statistical realm, a nonlinear realm, that's a cultural shift. Okay, it's hard to swallow. And again, in the case of, it's not that AI and many of these processes, particularly on neural networks, are still evolving. Okay, with many theorems have not been written yet. As many people call it black box. You know it's predicting something, but you don't know how it make the conclusion. That is improving over time, and many companies are working on that. But it's still it's an evolving story. Okay. Another issue, of course, is the issue of your leadership saying, "Are you cannibalize this?" And that's the second point that I want to share with you, is that in order to embrace this type of transformation, you need the buy-in from the top. CEO, presidents, VPs needs to be engaged into that. I am fortunate that we are in Baker Hughes. But again, I mean, many years in the industry is not easy. It's not easy because we understand as technologists the science behind this very well. But the challenge is, hey, what is the value? And are you, you're going to give me a pile of gold at the end, but today you're going to diminish the growth, etc.
So one of the questions that Renata brought up is just that: how much does organizational culture play in the success of value capture? And you're just demonstrating that. So yeah, the higher ups, the management, they have to, you know, view what is this disruptive value that you're going after. But, you know, it's hard, right, in the middle ranks, and then getting everybody behind that, because aren't you facing, you're cannibalizing all that great work. Somebody owned it, it's their baby. So that's got to be tough.
It is tough, and particularly my current position as I'm an executive on hardware technology for Bentley. So hardware, well, today hardware is actually software-defined hardware, so it's really software. Okay. And then, of course, my people say, oh, we're going to get rid of hardware. We go to digital. But no, we need hardware. We need a lot of hardware, actually. Very specialized, real-time operating systems. I mean, we still need all of that infrastructure to be successful. Yet, the attention is going into what is the solution, right? By the way, many people believe digital transformation is about software. It's not even software. It's about solutions. Okay, and again, a solution is something that somebody is willing to pay, and hence derive value, create value, generate revenue. One other quick slide. This is my second to last slide to finish here. I stole this slide from Oracle. When I saw it, I really got in love because this is 5 years old probably. And this number, of course, is actually higher right now. 84% of the market value of S&P 500 companies come from intangible assets. This is software, algorithms, intellectual property, trade secrets, etc., not physical stuff. I mean, in the book value of the company is the physical stuff, is the capital investment. But above that, I mean, 84% of their value, okay, as measured by market measurements, come from all of these intangibles. That's a big transformation because in the past, your wealth was part of how much capital you had with you. And that has changed. And that's a significant mind shift at the leadership level, which are used to that, and ourselves. I mean, we're used to give me something physical, give me a piece of hardware, and I'll sell that piece of hardware, rent that piece of hardware. Now, the business model is actually that will change how you're gonna have your revenue. I mean, we are experiencing freemium models, which looks totally counterintuitive, or free to use for one person, or Zoom for 40 minutes is free, and yet they're generating, their value is billions of dollars of company value for a free service, or it's not really free, depending on how you use it, right? So that is, for me, that's what inspired me on the pile of gold at the end of this journey for all of the companies. I mean, it depends. I mean, every company is different, but you need to imagine beyond the existing business model, because again, it's changing. And either, repeat myself again, either you change it, or your company change it, or your competitors will try to change it. So again, much better to be on the leadership side. I know I'm probably running about time, and try to.
But the one thing I did want to do is kind of go back into your current business, and if you can expand on maybe the challenge you're having actually realizing a solution in this new digital model. So you're working on stuff. You've got the old guard and the new guard. So I've got some questions about, is it a challenge for the senior engineers, and is it easier for the knowledge workers that are used to, doing everything that way because that's the way they grew up? But more importantly, is there a particular solution you're working on that can sort of demonstrate how the challenges you're facing reaching this new digital model that you're talking about?
So I'll go definitely. The number one challenge I would say for me is cultural. I have a set of about 250 engineers, all excellent, amazing engineers in multiple areas of engineering. So, and that's the reason I scratch the word technology. In my case, it's not about technology. I have the technology that I need. I have the people that can do that. I have an innovator's dilemma in general, but more specifically not. I have a boss and a leadership, a president that are embracing digital transformation very well. So it's less of a problem in my current role today. And definitely my number one challenge is cultural. And it's driving the culture toward seeing beyond the obstacle, seeing beyond the cannibalization challenge, seeing in new business models that are different than the one that we're used to, that has made us and make us today very successful. So things to do is, well, number one, drive by example, okay? Try to, I call it black ops. I do multiple black ops with the most, open-minded of my team members, and try to demonstrate multiple things, multiple results that you can achieve using well-known techniques. If I go in a technology example, AI techniques, model-based design, system engineering processes. I mean, nothing different than what most companies participating in this event are, but putting them in a way that make consistent the old and the new, meaning we don't need to abandon, in the new world of digital, you don't need to abandon best practices about good execution management, stage gate management, system engineering process, etc. It's the same, but the order of solve being put in a different way, and trying to inspire people. I mean, really, most of my job is about inspiration and showing vision rather than, nitty gritty stuff. Okay. So yeah, that's my short answer.
Questions from the group for Dr. Gutierrez? Let's see. I've got one here from Michelle. Hey, Michelle, good to see you.
Is it from Brian? Please don't. I don't ask a question for Brian. I'm kidding. Hello, Brian. I just saw your name on the screen.
But I'm going to go to Michelle. She sent in hers too. Michelle, can you explain what you mean there? I can't hear you. Sorry. Can you unmute?
So, am I unmuted?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I mean, it is a journey. You know, I moved to BHP in April, and, the assets are still everything. I mean, the assets are the tangible thing. It's minerals, it's mines, it's oil, it's gas, it's stuff that we sell. But you're right. It's this mindset to move from not just focus on, hey, how to get it out of the ground, how to sell it. It's more how to see new value streams from it, how to do things in a much better and more efficient way. So this digitalization journey, I think we're all finding confusing, but we can see the end game, but it is confusing. My question is, who has done this the best in our industry? When you're talking about tangible assets like mines and oil and gas, who's made this journey and got to the other side? In your opinion?
In my opinion, man, I mean, many of my friends are actually in this call, and I believe there are different levels of success. I think, of course, multiple failures. Okay. I'm happy to say that none of the failures that I remember are participating here today. And I think it's still ongoing. It's still ongoing. And seeing companies in Europe, Germany, you probably know what company I'm referring to. I think companies in US, we're in the middle. I think super majors working very well, deploying resources. You are from BHP, major company. I mean, I've seen many of the stories, I read the press releases. I don't think we're there yet in terms of major success, industrial major successes. Where I'm seeing a lot of excitement is actually on these very small companies. I mean, I'm following these venture-funded companies and seeing, I mean, for their size, their growth is amazing. Okay, of course, their element of risk is different than ours. Okay?
Yeah, but they're just doing a really tiny piece of the pie. They're doing one small little tiny piece of the pie, whereas we have to do everything from start to end. We're much bigger enterprises. So it's that much harder to turn the ship, if you know what I mean.
It's much harder. It's much harder. One thing I did in one of my previous companies is partner with these little companies that are more agile than you. Okay. And work with them, and I have derived a lot of value out of that. Many people, many large companies are, don't like that because, having kids on the bed is a challenge. Yet I found them refreshing. I found them that it gives you agility. It removes you from a lot of bureaucracy that you may have internally. Okay. So I see that. Again, it requires a lot of babysitting. It requires, policies, processes, quality may not be the same than what we have in our company. So you need to be very careful with that. But yes, I wouldn't say somebody has cracked the code in the industrial world yet, but I do see great progress coming on. I see more, I call it digitally native
people that are making progress. So let's go ahead and move on to the next question. I'm going to move to Scott's got a question. He says, how should educational systems embrace this change? What are the challenges for the educators and the following generations. How can this vision be pushed forward via the educational system? Do you have any takes on that?
Yeah, I definitely have an opinion. Today, I mean, I used to partner very close with the University of Texas and University of Houston when I was a couple of years ago in Houston. Now with UNR, the University of Nevada, the Nevada Reno. And it's a challenge. It's a challenge because a lot of the professors are still in ones, they're segmented functionally. So if you talk to the guy driving artificial intelligence classes, those guys are not connected to the guys that are more on a hard engineering side. And I think the real value comes on the intersection of those. So I'm working with the university trying to create a master program that actually makes that blend. But again, that's a particular example. And seeing some universities, particularly here on the West Coast, that are really trying to blend in. But again, it's new. It continues to be new. Clearly, and this is a big difference probably from 2 years ago, the academia is understanding that you cannot just create degrees on AI stuff only, because without your data sets and whatever analytics you're applying needs to be connected with physics, okay, in order to make sense and derive much deeper results than anything. And again, as I said, these fields on digital are not fully mature yet.
Right.
The growth has been amazing, but for anybody in the weeds knows that we're not there yet. Okay.
You know, just to kind of close this one off, all of our kids are learning faster, right? So taking it down from university down into high school, grade school, we're all getting ready, and we are going through that digital transformation even faster, but through school. So it'll be interesting to see what they learn there. Do you have any more questions, audience, for Jose? Let's see. Oh, we've got one. Morton says, what about recruiting the next generation? Thank you. Is the energy and mining industry appealing to people with software and cybersecurity knowledge, which is where he comes from, especially with regards to the cycles and environmental impacts? And before you answer that, I want to say that we've got people from all kinds of industries. We've got people from the arts, media, entertainment, obviously aerospace, everything. So it applies to all.
Yeah, I mean, in my particular case, I'm in northern Nevada, high elevation mountains and deserts. So anybody that loves outdoors, I can hire here very fast. Yet, of course, we're on the other side of Silicon Valley, so definitely we have challenges because everybody prefer to be on San Jose, San Francisco area. So that's a challenge. Definitely there is a stigma. I feel there's a stigma with oil and gas. And actually, in the case of Baker Hughes, we have rebranded ourselves as an energy technology company. Too early to know the results. But it's
cybersecurity. Is it appealing to people from cybersecurity?
Well, I mean, it's cybersecurity, it's digitaling, it's AI, it's data science. It's the same. I mean, if either you look sexy for this audience or not. Okay, and oil and gas, I definitely believe there's an unsexiness going on. And as I said, we have rebranded to energy technology, which represents a bigger look forward. It's a challenge. Now, my blessing, and I think the blessing of most of you, is this coronavirus situation has taught many people that now you can hire anybody anywhere in the world and have them work remote. Okay, so it's still, we need to test that theory. It's not there yet, but I'm sensing the sensitivities of working remote has changed. So I am one of those thinking that I want to take advantage of the fact that now I can hire anywhere in the world and not necessarily try to collocate them in Reno, China, Mumbai, etc. So that's a blessing. It is a challenge. Salaries for this kind of talent is still in high demand. It's going up. But, I think like anything in economics, there will be more supply soon now that universities are paying attention to that.
Okay, that's the last word on that. Jose, thank you very much. Now, like we do always, we ask the expert to give us an ask and a give. So what ask do you have of the audience today, Jose?
Well, I mean, my ask is about understanding your own challenges. I told you mine, okay? I believe they're quite generic, but I'm pretty sure we all experience different challenges. So my ask is to understand, is culture your number one issue? Is technology your number one issue? I mean, in my statement, I said, no, it's not technology. I have the technology. And then also get deeper into the innovator's dilemma. Is doing the new stuff being considered a challenge to the existing stuff? So that would be my ask to the team.
Got it. And so then on the other side of that, what are you willing to give?
Give. Oh my God. Well, I'm willing to network with anybody to help and share the journey. I mean, it's a journey, and sometimes this journey feels lonely. So anybody that is starting the journey or needs a partner to have a Friday afternoon drink to say, oh my God, how you did that, or I'm definitely happy to network and connect.
Well, you heard it here on Learn from the Experts, everybody. Jose has invited you for a call with him and the Bears in the background to talk about innovation. So thanks for that. And I'm sure folks will take you up on it. So I'd like to real briefly recognize Dr. Omar Hatamla on the show with us. He's the author of Becoming Brains. He's also the visionary founder of Ecosystems 2030. And Learn from the Experts is a proud sponsor of Ecosystems 2030. And we invite you to join us on their webinar, August 20th, 10 a.m. Central Time. Omar, in a few words, what is this? Who is it for? What should people expect to get from it?
Thanks a lot, John. Essentially, this is a follow-up on the discussion we had earlier.
Uh-oh. That's bad timing, Omar. You just
earlier, a while back when I gave a talk. So basically, what it's talking about the future ecosystems. You know, all these emerging technologies, like artificial intelligence, driverless cars, drones, biotech, fintech, they're going to be creating new ecosystems.
Well, it's a bummer.
Disrupting industries and based on challenges and remain relevant. So on Friday, we're going to have a webinar with 4 executives from industry, nonprofit, and from different segments to talk about how these emerging technologies will be
Great.
impacting the industry and nonprofit emerging through the chat, and you can get more information about the seminar on Friday.
Excellent. So folks, go to es2030.com or just go to the Learn from the Experts page that you signed up for this event, and you'll be able to go to that link. Omar, thank you very much for taking your time to share that with us. So on to the networking component of the show. It's called Meet the Needs. And so more trust equals richer networking, right? Yeah, we know this. So everything we do on this component of the show is an experiment, trying to build confidence and trust within us in the group, because we have some people that show some time, we have new people, some people that are here more often. One way to do that is to have a discussion group. And so I sent out a question, kind of a thought piece, and I'm curious, and I'd like for us to talk a little bit about that. Just to remind you, this is about kind of what Dr. Gutierrez was talking about, disruption opportunities. You know, what in your life recently has captured your imagination, folks? Can you share an example, a real experience, observation, something opening the market that you've seen, something that, you know, that potential's caught your eye and you were like, dang, you know, the entrepreneur and you really wanted to go for it, but maybe something was missing. Can you be specific? Love to hear your thoughts. And as a good friend of mine, he put it this way. He said, hey, so much uncertainty these days. I'm much more interested where people come from across the spectrum, see current opportunities, whether it's market segments, specific companies, offerings that are getting attention, strategies that have succeeded, or even better yet, those that have failed. So any experiences out there that y'all want to share? This is where somebody moves forward. Maybe it's Brian, or it's Idar, or
John, I can jump in if there's no one else. So
yeah, please do.
So the one thing I've been looking at is, of course, education system and schools when they've been moving to Zoom and all that. And the challenge I'm seeing that people think you can move a classroom experience to a Zoom experience in the same way of educating. And I think that's probably where some of the interesting thing, how do you change the whole education system quickly now that, because if you need to learn math, sitting and watching a screen with all of your fellow students and the teachers, that's the right way to learn math? Or is there other ways to do it on the way you set up the time? Do you look at video and animation instead, and the teacher spends time on one-on-one follow-up? And that's where I'm looking at saying, is the school districts ready for thinking different? Are they, or are they just trying to virtualize a physical environment instead? Almost like the digital transformation before, when you took in companies and just put the data from a logbook into a spreadsheet, and you didn't really make a big difference. That's my just thing that I'm thinking and talking to friends who are teachers. How are you going to attack this challenge?
Anybody else want to jump on that?
I've had that same problem, teaching at U of H. I was right in the middle of lecturing, and then suddenly at spring break, everybody's saying, nope, you got to do the rest of it from Zoom, and here's Zoom, and good luck. And my final exams were such that they worked in a team effort, because that's how a lot of projects and stuff are done. And suddenly all the students had to do it all on their own. And it was a big challenge to change the whole curriculum midstream. And I think that's one thing that a lot of educators are facing right now is that they've done things and set up their class notes, their work environment, homework, everything around the class environment. And now they're suddenly having to think, how do I do this in a different environment? And I think, and to put together, I have a lot more respect for my teachers than I used to, knowing how to put a class schedule together. It's not easy. Once you've got it, great, but putting it together and then finally just saying, well, everything you've done, it's all back into pieces again, and you got to rebuild it again. I think that's a thing. But I'm not at least the way Zoom and other things are right now, I'm not a big fan of remote teaching, because I need that intercommunication with the student. And Zoom and other, if it's a one-on-one, fine. But, and I guess big college lectures, like we were all freshmen sitting in a big auditorium and just listening to a guy talk, I guess that could be online. Right. But it's the stuff in the middle that I don't think digital is necessarily the answer either. So I think, go ahead.
Yeah, so hey, Vel. So Vel is with F2F Music Foundation. Vel, I'm sorry to call you out here, but how is it different in your space when you're working with students? Maybe you could just say a few words about that.
Yeah, it's been different in a lot of different ways, primarily in terms of trying to gain more visibility through corporations and organizations that are out there across the U.S. to see the real, how can I put it, the real need for a student to participate more in a music environment that also helps them from an academic standpoint. I found while I'm working with students that a lot of them have said to me, well, I'd like to do music, but I want to be in medical, I want to be in law, I want to go into, I said, well, why is that? They said, well, I need to be able to make money. I said, well, this is the thing, there's a lot of information is not being given to young people so that they see that there are opportunities in the music industry. It doesn't have to be we're actually performing and doing things.
Right.
And once I explained that to them, they said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, there's arranging, there's composition, there's composing, there's producing.
So a question for you on that.
Yeah.
How, you know, in today's environment, like we were just talking, are you still able to have sessions over Zoom? Or, I mean, how do you continue the foundation's work right now with the school districts?
Yeah, well, we've just actually pulled off an online jazz improvisation camp. It's the first of its kind here in Fort Bend County, as well as, from what I understand, in a lot of different cases throughout the U.S. that no one's ever done this before, where it actually gives kids more advanced discipline and training in how to stand up before an audience and perform, to play a solo and so forth, and also to play better within the composite of an ensemble. And by doing that, we were able to utilize the Zoom platform to do our conferences. We held it for a week, and we had recording artists from around the U.S. actually participate, do presentations for these kids. And it was interesting that the range of students that I had ranged from first grade up to college. And they were all excited to be able to see a recording artist, someone that's out there doing it. One of our board members actually with F2F Music Foundation has a #1 smooth jazz single out there right now. And she did a presentation where we involved the kids online to bring their instruments into play. And they're still talking about it. Parents have sent me many emails over the last few days saying, you know, this thing is so valuable. People need to know about this because it's providing so much excitement to them as well as motivation so that they continue.
Well, so maybe that's another great example of disruptive growth, but in a whole different way, right?
Exactly.
That's really cool. Any last comments from other folks? We're coming up.
Well, I have a question. You know, based on that, you've said performing. You know, I guess I worry about this generation just all being texting and not socializing. So how did you get people to go from the remote aspect to be able to get in front of a live audience? That's a interesting question. I mean, observation you made. How did you do that?
Well, I used the same vehicle. I would text students to get their attention. And usually I would send them a text message and say, hey, you know, I've got this online program. If you are utilizing the Zoom platform or FaceTime or WhatsApp, however you gain access to your normal classes during the week, why not take an hour or two? This camp only ran from 10 a.m. to 12 noon for a week, to just sign on, listen, watch, and pick up some new skills that you may be able to use when you start your competition next year in school. And it'll also help you maybe step up above some of the guys that you're playing with in the band. I know a lot of them can't do that right now since the schools are online. They're not able to get together like they used to.
Right.
But they now have a different vision on where they can go with this instrument that's sitting beside them in the house. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the last word on that. So excellent conversation. If you guys look at the chat, we've got more discussion there, which clearly this is extremely important, not only for our business, but it all starts at home. The people that we're growing, influencing, disruptive growth. Bill, I think that was a great example that ties really well into Jose's talk. So as a part of the networking leads and needs portion of this show, we typically just need to ask you, how can we help? How can this network help you? So you have to ask, just simply ask. So for example, do you have any current needs or challenges that the group can help you with? Network connections? What kind of relationships, decision makers are you trying to look for, whether partnerships, clients, investors, suppliers? So I've got time for one. If anybody has anything in particular, feel free to ask anybody on the call. And that's also getting used to people that you may not know and how much you want to share. But this is an important part of why this group is together. Clearly, you're going to get all the information and connect afterwards, and you'll be able to do that one-on-one. But next time, one of our members, Andrea Siddig-Rolf, had an idea, which I think is pretty interesting. She's a pro at all things sales related, and she's got a piece out on prospecting in a pandemic. So, Andrea, can you give 2 words about maybe what we could talk about next time in this area?
You bet. So the idea with prospecting in a pandemic came from when this all kind of started to happen months and months ago, salespeople reaching out saying, is it appropriate to prospect right now and to try to find new business? You know, how does that work when people are struggling, people are being laid off, you know, all of that. And my point was, you know, folks need you now more than ever, especially those who are in technology that are in a position to help with remote work environments, business continuity. Cybersecurity is super important with folks working from home. So I said, you know, you need to think of yourself as someone that's reaching out to help rather than to sell. And if you approach it from that perspective, and if you're sensitive about it, then it's a perfect time to prospect. And you're actually doing a disservice by not prospecting, because this is when your prospects and customers need you.
So that's our teaser. And, you know, next time, August 25th, when we come back, would you mind going into a little more detail and maybe handling some questions on that?
You bet. Happy to.
Well, that's, we're out of time. You know, this is great. So come back to the show August 25th, where we'll have the CEO of Brillion, a Silicon Valley startup. They're going to talk to us about how they're disrupting how we experience displays. So VR, virtual reality without any headsets. Pretty cool. So calling all experts. Do any of you guys have customers or strategic partners that you want to sponsor as a guest on Learn from the Experts? It's a unique way to be recognized, branded, support their professional development and learn more about them, their business, and to help your business. If you're curious, let's talk. Give me a call. Lastly, how are we doing on this show? You're going to get a 3-question survey pretty shortly after this. Need your ideas and feedback to make the show even better. So as always, really grateful to spend this time with you. Stay connected and make this the best 48 minutes of your day, folks. Jose, thanks again.
Thank
you. See you guys later. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, John.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.